Now, what we need to do is we need to have the driver program, okay, and we do the input, and probably there's still some logic that we need to figure out, but essentially we are just going to finish up everything, and we should be in good shape, okay. And let's create the main class. Okay, and first thing is I need to make sure that I have the product manager, I have the salesperson manager created. So I'll create the product manager, then I'm going to create the salesperson manager. And then I'm ready to read in the input. So the input file, there are two things, two input, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read in the product information, okay, first. So I'm going to say the scanner product input and the file name is called price.txt. So very straightforward, and we say as long as we continue to have the input, what we are going to do, we read in the price, we read in the product ID first, and then we read in the price information, and we are going to add it to the product manager, right? Do I have one? I'm sorry. Oh, I don't have one yet, right? So what I need to do, I need to create one, okay, because I need to add the product information here. So let me create that one. I would add a product. I would have the product ID. Then I have the price. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create, we say all at this ID minus 1 is equal to new product of this ID and the price. And come back here. We say add the product with the ID and the price, and the ID would be p input dot next int, and this would be p input dot next double, and we will get all the product information in. And similarly, we would be able to have the sales slip in, okay. Is that slips? Then we see while sales input dot has next. I will continue this process. What you are going to do is now let me read in the information. The first one is the salesperson ID, right? Next one is the product ID. And the last one is the quantity, right? And after you read this information in, what I need to do, I will let the sales manager to process the transaction with the sales ID, product ID, and quantity. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the product manager to process the transaction also. But because the product ID is already, because the sales ID really does not matter anything here, so we just use the product ID and we have the quantity. And we would be done for all the reading input and for all the processing. And the last thing that we need to worry about is just generate the output part, right? And there's still a little bit like a computation that we need to do, for example, to try to figure out the total values for the product and the total values sold by a specific salesperson. But we can just do that, when we try to generate the output, okay? And at this point, what I like to do is I like to say, okay, I would like to generate a report. Let the product manager to generate a report. What's the report name? It's called sellability.txt. I will let the salesperson manager to report on the salesperson performance. So let's do the product report first. So what we are going to do is we are going to generate a print writer here. This is the way that we are going to generate the output. Okay, and what we are going to do next is you really need to look at what you need to have. We say this is the sellability, right? Sellability, you need to generate the product ID. We have the total number and you have the total value, and then probably you need to do a little bit sorting, right? And then sort based on the total sales. So there are several things for us to do. Is first we generate the total sales for this one, and we need to do the sorting. Okay, so let's do the total sales. How could we do total sales? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to, for all the product, I will just let all at the I, we do total sales, right? And this total sales was not defined. Let's just go ahead and define. And this one, let me do this. We don't need to have the previous one, in fact. The total sales for this one would be just the price times the sales count, right? That's it. Let me get rid of this one because we really don't need to have the total sale because we don't need to have the loops here. And the next thing that you are going to do is you need to do the sorting, right? How could we do the sorting? Let's do the sorting here. How could we do the sorting? You are not doing collections.sort anymore because here it's not an array. So it will be arrays.sort. When you sort list and sort array, it will be different. For list, you are going to use collection.sort. For arrays, you are going to use arrays.sort. Okay? So which you are going to sort? You are going to sort on this all. Then I'm going to still do the same thing. I'm going to create a comparator. And the comparator would compare product. So when I have this product, I need to compare based on their total sales, right? And I need to sort based on descending order. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, diff is equal to P2, P2 dot total sales minus P1 dot total sales. Is that clear? P2. And then we can just say if the diff is greater than 0, we are going to return a positive 1. Else, if diff smaller than 0, we are going to return minus 1. Else return a 0. Okay? And we would have it sorted. So after we get this sorted, essentially we are ready to generate the output, right? So here we will say pw.println. The first one is the okay, product ID, total number of sales, and the total value. So we print the first line. And then the second thing that we need to do is we need to do the sorting. So let's do the sort. After the sorting, we are ready to generate for each, right? For each. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate a toString for this one. I need to use a sales counter, right? So then, in fact, we don't need that one. Let's get rid of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, this one has the ID. I have a tab, have the sales count, tab, then total sales, right? And that's it. And we go back to the product manager. What we are going to do is we are going to say, okay, for int I is equal to 0, I smaller than O dot length, and I plus plus. All I'm going to do is I'm going to let pw dot println. It would be all at the ith location. That's it.